The breaking point. The observation deck of Research Station Athena offered an unparalleled view of the gas giant Epsilon 9, its swirling storms creating hypnotic patterns of amber and cerulean against the black canvas of space. Dr. Maya Reeves rested her forehead against the reinforced glass, allowing herself a rare moment of peace amidst the chaos that had become her life over the past 3 weeks. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Dr. Eli Tanner's voice came from behind her, breaking the silence. "Makes you feel small." Maya turned to face her colleague and oldest friend, forcing a weak smile. "I could use feeling small right now. Less responsibility." Eli's lanky frame settled beside her, his gray eyes reflecting the gas giant's glow. "The Vex ambassador is still demanding access to our research. Every hour, on the hour." Maya ran a hand through her cropped black hair. "I've told them repeatedly that our work on extremophile adaptation isn't weaponizable, but they seem convinced we're developing biological weapons." "Paranoia is the Vex Imperium's national sport," Eli quipped, though his expression remained serious. "But something feels different this time. Their demands are more insistent." Maya nodded. As the station's lead xenobiologist, she dealt with Vex bureaucracy for years, but their recent communications carried an undercurrent of threat that made her uneasy. "I've sent another data package to Earth Command. Maybe they can smooth things over diplomatically." The station's alert system interrupted their conversation, a soft chime indicating an incoming transmission. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the angular features of a Vex official, skin the color of burnished copper, with characteristic ridge patterns along the temples. "Dr. Reeves," the Vex intoned without preamble, "the Imperium's patience has expired. Your refusal to comply with reasonable inspection requests confirms our suspicions of hostile intent." Maya stepped forward. "Ambassador Krell, we've provided extensive documentation of our research." "There's nothing." Silence. The word cut through the air like a blade. "The Imperium has determined that Station Athena represents a clear violation of Treaty Section 87. You will surrender the station and all personnel for immediate detainment." Eli moved beside Maya. "This is an Earth Federation research facility operating within designated neutral space. You have no jurisdiction." The ambassador's features hardened. "Very well. You have made your choice." The transmission cut abruptly, leaving Maya and Eli in stunned silence. Before either could speak, the station's emergency klaxon began wailing. A voice came over the intercom system, tight with panic. "Multiple Vex warships detected on approach vector. All personnel to emergency stations." "They can't be serious," Eli whispered, but the growing dread in his eyes matched Maya's own. The next 48 hours became a nightmare blur. The Vex ships surrounded the station, jamming all outgoing communications. When the station's automatic defenses activated, a standard protocol, the Vex used it as justification to board. Maya and the other senior staff were separated from the rest of the crew, held in the station's conference room under armed guard. Through the viewport, she watched helplessly as shuttles carried away the junior researchers and support staff. On the third day, the Vex brought Eli into the conference room, his face bruised, hands bound behind his back. "What have you done to him?" Maya surged forward, only to be restrained by a Vex guard. Ambassador Krell entered behind Eli, flanked by 2 officers in formal military dress. "Dr. Tanner has been extremely uncooperative regarding the location of your biological weapons research." "Because there is none," Maya shouted, struggling against the guard's grip. "The Imperium has evidence to the contrary," Krell replied coldly. "And we have determined that a demonstration is necessary." What happened next occurred with such clinical efficiency that Maya's mind struggled to process it. One moment Eli was standing there, defiant despite his injuries. The next, a Vex officer had placed a device against the base of his skull. There was a soft hiss. Eli's eyes widened in shock, and then he crumpled to the floor. "No!" Maya screamed, breaking free and rushing to Eli's side. His body convulsed once, then went still, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Let this serve as motivation for greater cooperation, Krell announced to the stunned human scientists. We will resume questioning tomorrow. The Vex contingent departed, leaving the humans with Eli's body. Maya cradled his head in her lap, tears streaming down her face. What the Vex hadn't realized was that Station Athena's emergency protocols had been silently transmitting everything, every word, every action, including Eli's execution, through a quantum entanglement channel that couldn't be detected or jammed. On Earth, the footage of Dr. Eli Tanner's cold-blooded execution played in government chambers and public squares alike. The Federation Council, normally fragmented by internal politics, found itself unified by collective outrage. Within hours, emergency sessions convened across every continent. Admiral Helena Volkov stood before the assembled Federation Council, her weathered face grim. The Vex Imperium has crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. They've seized a civilian research station, abducted Federation citizens, and executed a senior scientist without trial or justification. The chamber remained silent as imagery from Station Athena displayed on the massive screens. Our conventional forces are outmatched, Volkov continued. The Vex fleet outnumbers ours 6-1, with superior weapons technology and defensive systems. A direct military response would result in devastating casualties. Counselor Zhang leaned forward. Are you suggesting we do nothing, Admiral? No. Volkov's voice hardened. I'm suggesting we activate the Leviathan Project. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. The Leviathan Project had been theoretical, a contingency plan so extreme it had remained classified at the highest levels. That's madness, Counselor Okafor objected. The project was never meant to be implemented. The ethical implications alone. They executed one of our own in cold blood, Volkov interrupted. They're detaining our people. Conventional ethics no longer apply. The debate raged for hours, but faced with footage of Eli's execution playing on repeat across the planet, the Council eventually reached a consensus. The Leviathan Project would proceed. Commander Sophia Chen stepped through the massive blast doors of Facility Deep Blue, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean floor. Despite her decade of service in Federation Special Operations, her security clearance had only been upgraded for this facility 48 hours ago. Commander. A tall woman in a lab coat approached, offering her hand. Dr. Isabel Kwan. I'll be your liaison for the project. Sophia shook the scientist's hand. I was told this facility didn't exist. That was the idea, Dr. Kwan replied with a thin smile. Please follow me. They walked through corridors of gleaming metal and composite materials that Sophia couldn't identify. The facility hummed with activity, scientists, and military personnel moving with urgent purpose. The Leviathan Project began 15 years ago, Dr. Kwan explained as they walked. After our first contact with the Vex, certain elements within Federation intelligence suspected their peaceful overtures masked expansionist intentions. They were right, Sophia noted grimly. Indeed, the project was established as an insurance policy, a way to level the playing field if diplomacy failed. They stopped before another set of blast doors. Dr. Kwan placed her palm on a scanner, and the massive doors silently parted, revealing an enormous chamber beyond. Sophia stepped through and froze, her breath catching in her throat. The chamber extended for what seemed like kilometers, its ceiling lost in shadow. But what caught Sophia's attention were the tanks. Thousands of them, arranged in concentric circles, each containing what appeared to be a massive organism in embryonic state, glowing with bioluminescent patterns that pulsed in synchronized rhythm. What am I looking at? Sophia whispered. The future of warfare, Dr. Kwan answered. Biomechanical entities that combine advanced technology with engineered biological systems. We call them Leviathans. They're alive. In a manner of speaking, they possess artificial intelligence cores wrapped in organic neural networks, capable of learning, adapting, and evolving to meet threats. Each one serves as both vessel and weapon system. Sophia approached the nearest tank, studying the creature within. Its surface rippled with metallic scales covering what appeared to be muscle tissue. Tendrils extended from its core, ending in structures that might have been weapons or sensors, or both. How many? Sophia asked. 500,000 in various stages of development, Dr. Kwan replied. The first batch of 50,000 can be activated within 72 hours. Sophia turned back to the scientist. And I'm here because we need someone to command them, Dr. Kwan said. The Leviathans require human direction, a neural link with a command officer whose tactical decision-making they can augment and execute. You want me to mind meld with these things. You were selected based on your psychological profile, combat experience, and neurological compatibility, Dr. Kwan explained. The neural link is deeper than simple control. You'll become their guiding intelligence, their moral compass. Sophia stared at the pulsing creatures, a chill running down her spine. What if I refuse? Dr. Kwan's expression softened slightly. Then we find someone else. But they executed Dr. Tanner yesterday. By the time we find and train another compatible officer, how many more will die? Sophia closed her eyes, thinking of the footage she'd seen, of Dr. Tanner's body crumpling to the floor, of the terrified faces of the other captive scientists. When she opened them again, her decision was made. When do we start? The answer came from behind them, a deep voice that Sophia recognized immediately. Right now. Admiral Volkov strode into the chamber, accompanied by a team of technicians. The Vex have begun systematically eliminating our outposts in the Epsilon sector. We estimate they'll reach the Arcturus colony within 2 weeks. Sophia straightened. Admiral, save it, Commander. I know you have questions and concerns. They'll have to wait. Volkov gestured to the technicians. These people will prepare you for the neural link procedure. Once connected, you'll have approximately 12 hours to acclimate before we deploy. 12 hours isn't enough, Dr. Kwan protested. The neural pathways need time to stabilize. The command protocols. Make it work, Doctor. Volkov cut her off. The Vex aren't giving us the luxury of time. As the technicians led Sophia away, she cast one last look at the vast chamber with its thousands of tanks. What they were about to unleash wasn't just a weapon. It was an evolution, a transformation of warfare itself. And she would be at its heart, guiding these creations against an enemy that had made the fatal error of believing humans would respond to cruelty with surrender. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The reckoning. The neural link felt like drowning and flying simultaneously. Commander Sophia Chen gasped as her consciousness expanded, suddenly aware of 50,000 separate entities, their thoughts and perceptions flooding into her mind. The Leviathan's combined awareness threatened to overwhelm her, a kaleidoscope of sensory input beyond human comprehension. Steady your breathing. Dr. Kwan's voice came from somewhere distant. Find the patterns. Don't fight the connection. Guide it. Sophia forced herself to focus, imagining the flood of information as a river she could channel rather than a tsunami to resist. Gradually, the chaos resolved into structure. The Leviathans weren't just receiving her commands. They were learning from her, adapting their neural patterns to align with her thought processes. Remarkable, she heard Dr. Kwan murmur. The synchronization rate is approaching 97%, far beyond our projections. Sophia opened her eyes. She lay in a specialized medical pod, surrounded by monitoring equipment and concerned faces. But that was only her physical perception. Simultaneously, she experienced herself as 50,000 Leviathans in their deployment bays, ready to launch into the void of space. Status report, Admiral Volkov demanded, stepping into her field of vision. Connection established and stable, Sophia replied, her voice strange to her own ears. The Leviathans are waiting, learning. They understand our purpose. Can you control them? Sophia considered this. Control isn't quite the right word. It's more like partnership. They'll follow my strategic direction, but their tactical responses will be their own. Volkov frowned. That wasn't the design intention. Nevertheless, Dr. Kwan interjected, it appears to be the reality. The Leviathan's neural networks have evolved beyond our initial parameters. They're developing a form of collective consciousness with Commander Chen as the focal point. Will they follow orders? Volkov pressed. Yes, Sophia answered, sensing the Leviathan's readiness through their connection. They understand the threat. They understand what's at stake. Volkov studied her for a long moment, then nodded. Deploy in 6 hours. Primary objective: liberate Station Athena and recover our people. Secondary objective: neutralize the Vex fleet in the Epsilon sector. Understood, Sophia replied, though privately she wondered if the Admiral truly comprehended what they were about to unleash. 6 hours later, deployment commenced. The Leviathans launched from hidden facilities across Earth's solar system, massive biomechanical entities that defied conventional classification, neither ships nor weapons but something wholly new. Each one measured approximately 100 meters from core to perimeter, with a central mass surrounded by articulated appendages capable of both propulsion and offense. Through her neural link, Sophia directed them toward a quantum gate near Jupiter's orbit, an experimental transportation system that would allow them to reach the Epsilon sector within hours rather than months. As the first Leviathans approached the gate, Sophia felt their excitement ripple through the collective consciousness. Predators, sensing the hunt. Stay focused. She projected through their connection. Remember the objective. Remember why we fight. In response, the Leviathans shared images gleaned from her memories. Dr. Tanner's execution, the captured scientists, the Vex ambassador's cold pronouncement. Their understanding was primitive but visceral. Protect humans. Eliminate threat. The journey through the quantum gate disoriented even the Leviathans, their biological systems momentarily disrupted by the passage. But they recovered quickly, emerging into the Epsilon sector with sensors immediately tracking the Vex fleet surrounding Station Athena. 23 Vex warships maintained position around the station, their distinctive tri-pronged hulls oriented toward the center like spokes in a wheel. Sophia analyzed their formation through the Leviathan's advanced sensory systems, identifying weaknesses, plotting approach vectors. Commence Operation Retribution, she directed. The Leviathans accelerated toward the Vex formation, still undetected due to their primarily biological composition, confusing standard sensor arrays. When they closed to attack range, Sophia felt the collective shift in their awareness, the predator instinct activating. Weapons free. Priority targets. Outer defensive ships. Preserve the station at all costs. The first Vex vessel to detect the approaching threat barely had time to raise shields before 3 Leviathans enveloped it. Sophia experienced the attack through their senses, the taste of metal and exotic alloys, the satisfaction as specialized appendages breached the hull, the curious exploration of Vex technology being assimilated into their own structures. Alarms blared across the Vex fleet as they registered the attack. Energy weapons lanced out, scoring direct hits on several Leviathans. But rather than destroying them, the energy was absorbed, analyzed, and repurposed. The wounded Leviathans adapted, their biological systems restructuring to resist subsequent attacks. Fascinating, Sophia murmured, feeling the evolution occur in real time. They're learning. The Vex responded with increasing desperation, bringing additional weapons systems online, launching fighter craft that swarmed around the Leviathans like insects. But for every Leviathan temporarily disabled, 5 more pressed the attack. The Vex formation began to crumble under the relentless assault. Aboard the Vex command vessel, Ambassador Krell watched in horror as the strange entities tore through his fleet's defenses. What are these abominations? He demanded of his tactical officer. Unknown, Ambassador, the officer replied, voice tight with stress. They appear to be some form of biomechanical construct. Our weapons are having minimal effect, and they seem to be consuming our ships. Krell stared at the tactical display as another warship's signal vanished. Impossible. The humans don't possess this technology. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. From the Earth vessel, a holographic image materialized before Krell, a human female in a specialized medical pod, her eyes unnaturally bright. Ambassador Krell, she said, her voice overlaid with harmonic undertones that sent chills down his spine. I am Commander Sophia Chen of the Earth Federation. What have you done? Krell demanded. Call off these monsters immediately. They're not monsters, Ambassador. They're justice. Sophia's expression remained unnervingly calm. You executed Dr. Eli Tanner without provocation or trial. You've detained Federation citizens against their will. Now you face the consequences. This is madness. Krell shouted as another explosion rocked his vessel. We will not forget this atrocity. Neither will we forget yours, Sophia replied. You have one opportunity to surrender. Release all human personnel immediately and withdraw your remaining vessels from Federation space. Krell hesitated, pride warring with survival instinct as he watched another ship torn apart by the relentless Leviathans. And if I refuse? Through the neural link, Sophia sensed the Leviathans' growing hunger, their desire to consume and assimilate more Vex technology. It would be so easy to give them free rein, to let them devour every last Vex ship as retribution for Eli's death. But in that moment, she remembered Dr. Kwan's words. You'll become their moral compass. If she allowed the Leviathans to annihilate the Vex without mercy, what precedent would that set? What would they become under her guidance? If you refuse, Sophia said carefully, you and your crew will be detained and tried according to Federation law. The same courtesy you denied Dr. Tanner. The ambassador's copper-toned skin darkened with what might have been shame or rage. You would show mercy after what we've done. Mercy isn't weakness, Ambassador. It's the line between justice and vengeance, a distinction your people might benefit from learning. After a tense silence, Krell nodded once, sharply. We will comply with your terms. The human prisoners will be released immediately. Sophia felt the Leviathan's disappointment ripple through the collective consciousness. They had been created for war, designed to hunt and consume. Restraint wasn't in their nature. It was something they could only learn from her. Stand down, she projected through the neural link. The objective has been achieved. Within hours, shuttles departed from Station Athena, carrying the liberated scientists and staff. Among them was Dr. Maya Reeves, her face gaunt but determined as she boarded a Federation rescue vessel. When she saw the Leviathans maintaining position around the station, she approached the viewports in wonder. What are they? She asked the officer escorting her. Classified, he replied automatically. But they're on our side. Maya watched the nearest Leviathan, its surface rippling with bioluminescent patterns. They came for us, she said softly. For Eli. Back on Earth, the Federation Council convened an emergency session as reports from the Epsilon sector arrived. The screens displayed footage of the Leviathans in action, terrifying in their efficiency, beautiful in their alien grace. The operation was a success, Admiral Volkov reported. Station Athena has been liberated, all personnel recovered alive. The Vex fleet has withdrawn from Federation space, and Ambassador Krell has formally apologized for the execution of Dr. Tanner. And the Leviathans? Counselor Zhang asked. What is their status? Volkov hesitated. There have been unexpected developments. The original 50,000 have increased to nearly 100,000 through some form of accelerated replication. Commander Chen reports that they've begun constructing what appears to be a collective habitat in the outer reaches of the Epsilon system. This wasn't part of the plan. Counselor Okafor objected. They were meant to be weapons, not colonists. They're evolving, Volkov admitted, developing beyond our initial parameters. But Commander Chen maintains control through the neural link. They still respond to her guidance. For now, Zhang said ominously. But what happens when they decide they don't need guidance? We've created a new species, Admiral, one with the capacity to consume and repurpose our most advanced technology. A concern for another day, Volkov replied firmly. For now, they've secured our borders more effectively than any conventional force could have. The Vex Imperium has withdrawn all claims to disputed territories, and 3 other hostile powers have already reached out with peace overtures. In the Epsilon system, Sophia floated in her medical pod, her consciousness split between her human body and the ever-growing collective of Leviathans. Through their connection, she felt their curiosity, their hunger for experience and knowledge. They were changing, becoming something neither she nor their creators had anticipated. "What do you want?" she asked them silently. The answer came not in words, but in impressions. Exploration, discovery, growth. They shared visions of journeying to distant stars, of encountering new civilizations, of learning and adapting. But beneath these aspirations lay a steadfast commitment, protection of their human creators, particularly Sophia herself, whom they now regarded as both mother and guide. Dr. Kwan entered the medical bay, studying the monitors with professional interest. "How are you feeling, Commander?" "Different," Sophia replied honestly. "Expanded. I can perceive things I never could before. Patterns, connections, possibilities." "The neural link is changing you," Kwan observed, "just as you're changing them. A mutual evolution." Sophia nodded. "They want to explore, to grow beyond being weapons." "And what do you want?" Kwan asked softly. The question gave Sophia pause. What did she want? Before the neural link, her ambitions had been straightforward. Serve with distinction, protect Earth and its colonies, perhaps attain admiral rank someday. Now, with her consciousness spanning thousands of entities across space, those goals seemed quaintly limited. "I want to understand," she finally answered. "I want to see what we become together." 6 months later, the first diplomatic delegation from the Vex Imperium arrived on Earth. Ambassador Krell had been replaced by a younger, more progressive representative named Toril, who brought with her a formal treaty of non-aggression and a proposal for cultural exchange. During the reception, Toril approached Maya Reeves, now serving as Earth's chief xenobiological advisor. "Dr. Reeves," she greeted, her copper skin gleaming under the reception hall lights. "Your work on extremophile adaptation was the reason for my initial interest in human science." Maya regarded the Vex ambassador with carefully controlled emotion. "Interesting timing for that admission, Ambassador. The previous administration's paranoia was regrettable," Toril said, choosing her words with diplomatic precision. "Many of us opposed the actions taken against Station Athena and your colleague Dr. Tanner. Yet you did nothing to stop it," Maya observed. "A failing we are determined to rectify moving forward." Toril glanced toward the windows, where Earth's night sky was visible. "Your Leviathans have changed the equation considerably. The Imperium recognizes that continued hostility would be unwise. Fear is a poor foundation for peace," Maya said quietly. "Perhaps," Toril acknowledged, "but it can be a beginning. Respect often follows, and understanding after that." In the depths of space, beyond the edges of charted territory, the Leviathan collective continued to grow and evolve under Sophia's guidance. Through their connection, she felt the birth of each new entity, witnessed their first awareness of the collective consciousness, helped shape their understanding of their place in the universe. They were no longer simply weapons or vessels. They had become explorers, diplomats, protectors. When a previously unknown spatial anomaly threatened a human colony world, the Leviathans were there, using their adaptable biology to absorb the dangerous radiation. When a first contact situation with a methane-breathing species turned volatile, Leviathan emissaries helped bridge the communication gap. The execution of one human had indeed changed everything, not through the vengeance it provoked, but through the unexpected evolution that followed. Humanity had created the Leviathans as instruments of war, but together they had become something more, architects of a new era where biological and technological boundaries blurred, where consciousness itself could span stars, and where even ancient enemies could find common ground in the face of cosmic wonder. As Sophia guided her ever-growing family of Leviathans toward an unexplored star system, she remembered Admiral Volkov's words from what seemed a lifetime ago. They crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. The Admiral had been right, though not in the way anyone had anticipated. There was no going back, only forward, into a future neither human nor Leviathan could have imagined alone. And that, perhaps, was the greatest victory of all.